find me 11,000 votes so that I can win the election. I would just repeat that over and over again. And then I'd say to the audience, what are we debating? A man picked up the phone and wanted to say, fake the election, give me 11,000 votes. I don't know how any American who loves this country, that's the end of the debate. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election.
President Joe Biden joined radio host Howard Stern today for a surprise live interview where the two absolutely obliterated the criminal in chief.
I know some of the guys that you served in the Senate with, I'm talking about Republicans. How are they going along with this?
Look, this is not your father's Republican Party.
Amen to that. And that's just the first of a number of clips I have for you guys today from this interview, so make sure you stick around to the end because it gets intense. They talk about everything from Trump to Biden's presidency and even his struggles with loss and his personal life. And the interview strikes a very stark contrast compared to how Stern used to talk with Donald Trump on his show.
Your daughter,
she's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody, and she's like 21, and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra. And,
so what?
And it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30 is like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life experience.
Until she's 35.
Too much life experience.
What is it at 35, Howard? It's called checkout time.
Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women, and so I sort of get away with it.
Yeah. Obviously disgusting and deplorable from both ends there, much like when Donald Trump speaks and or farts. And it's no secret that Howard Stern has had more than his fair share of controversy and disgusting remarks.
Howard Stern dominated radio for over 40 years, earning nearly $1 billion while developing a reputation as the biggest shock jock of all time. But the term shock jock is simply not strong enough to describe the absolutely atrocious, wicked, and downright degenerate behavior he has exhibited on his show. From blatant racism to suggestive language about minors, to public humiliation, and even toying with deceased human remains.
And he was very buddy-buddy with Trump back in his bad boy era, but he has since become an outspoken critic against the former president and taken on a much different tone.
Now, Stern and Trump, not as close as they used to be.
The turning point in my relationship with Donald was he did ask me to speak at the convention, and I had to say no. And
were you tempted at all?
Well, since I was a Hillary supporter, for a minute I thought, well, I'll go up and endorse Hillary, which would have been a great moment.
You wish you would have done that now?
No, I wouldn't do that to Donald.
But you don't want him to be president, but you can't help like him?
Well, I have a real problem. As you can tell, if I was a Hillary Clinton supporter, you can tell I have a real problem with what's going on. So I'm very conflicted now.
Even going so far as to throw some serious shade at Trump's recent stances on abortions, or lack thereof.
The guy I knew I didn't know this was him. I don't believe his stance on abortion, for example. The Donald I know, I think he probably needed to get a few people abortions. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, and Stern would certainly know about that, given their chummy banter.
And you're probably, I would say, the greatest judge of beauty on this planet. In fact, I would create a TV show for you where all you did was just judge women.
Now, that may be the best idea of all.
But Stern has since had a change of heart.
He claims now that he is a reformed, changed man.
That interests me zero, being as dirty as I want to be.
In his book, he writes about regrets for some of his past behavior, saying he was self-absorbed and had a hard-ass pose that no longer works. He doesn't even want people to read his other books, including the 1993 bestseller turned blockbuster, Private Parts.
It just doesn't represent me anymore, so it's hard for me to go back and look at it.
All of which brings us back to his surprise interview with Biden, where the two got very real and talked about some intense topics, like his dark emotional state after the loss of his first wife and daughter.
Well, what I said was, I can understand you don't have to be nuts to commit suicide. I said, I don't drink. That's not a virtue. I just
never drank.
Never drank. And I used to sit there and think to myself, I'd take out a bottle of scotch we always had liquor in the house, in my house as well. And I was going to just drink it and get drunk, and I can never bring myself to do it. And I actually thought about, you don't have to be crazy to commit suicide. If you've been to the top of the mountain, you think it's never going to be there again, and just a brief moment, I thought maybe I'd just go to the Delaware Memorial Bridge and jump. But I had 2 kids. I mean, it wasn't. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't like I gotta commit suicide. It was like you've been to the top of the mountain and it's never going to happen again. You're never going to be okay. But I had, and my boys. When we started to date Jill. We started to date Jill.
Well, you did. Didn't the boys give you permission to date Jill?
More than that.
And it's incredibly powerful to hear someone talk so vulnerably and openly about their emotional state. Something that Donald Trump could never do and would never have the respect to even attempt.
Here's what bothers me most. We have a fundamentally different value set. For example, when he was in Paris, he wouldn't go to that gravesite and said they're losers, these men and women who were killed in battle defending America. Losers and I'm glad I wasn't there because I think I would have. My son's in one of those graves. In one of the graves back here, not there. The idea that they're losers and suckers.
And McCain's a loser. He said McCain's a loser.
Well, McCain's a loser.
I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that because I don't like losing. Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
And thankfully, they dug into the dishonorable former commander-in-chief.
It's a fabulous man. I got to meet him before he died.
No, he's a straight-up guy, man. And
yeah.
Tough as hell. You can't fathom a president of the United States of America saying that the folks who died defending this country were suckers and losers.
But I can't forget him. I can't fathom a guy walks into the voting booth, especially a military member or somebody, and would vote for someone who says military guys who die are losers and suckers.
Yeah, absolutely unreal that these people will defend and vote for a guy who so dishonors our military members and then in the same breath will sit around and protect and defend literal insurrectionists.
On January 6th, when they were storming the Capitol,
and a police officer died.
Yeah, and he would say nothing. He was sitting in that dining area off the Oval Office for 3 hours and said nothing. The idea that we were actually not, it was derelict. It was almost criminal. He did nothing. He just sat there and watched what was happening. Not a single, and now he wants to he calls them patriots and victims, and says he's going to pardon them all if he's reelected.
But we'll end on a high note here with Howard Stern going in and touting all of Joe Biden's accomplishments.
I'll give you your greatest hits. The lowest uninsured rate in history. 4 out of 5 Americans are covered for less than $10 a month. Knocking off a few ISIS leaders. Cutting the emissions in half. I mean, you've always been an environmentalist. Geez, even the marijuana reform laws, enough with sitting there and fighting that battle. Respect for Marriage Act. What the hell is with people with this gay stuff? Who cares if someone's gay? How is it affecting anybody? People in love, it's good, right?
And therein lies the distinction. Joe Biden is a president of respect, of honor, and someone who actually gets things done. Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification to get notified when we drop new videos. Let me know your thoughts about anything we covered here, be it Howard Stern, his past, his relationship with Trump, Trump's absolutely abhorrent talking points from back in the early 2000s. I'm also curious what you guys think of Howard Stern and his journey thus far. Is this making up for some of the things he's done in the past? Do you really think he's a changed man? Let me know in those comments down below. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you guys in the next one.